Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Going to be giving you my predicted 11 for Manchester United's game against OMONIA Nicosia in the Europa League. So I'm expecting Erik ten Hag to rotate for this game. I'm going to go with the 4-3-3 formation. So in goal, David De Gea. David De Gea was in goal in Manchester United's 6-3 defeat to Manchester City at the Etihad. Like I said on the match reaction, De Gea was blameless for all of Manchester City's 6 goals. He couldn't really do anything about them. Our poor defence let David De Gea down. You know, De Gea is Manchester United's #1 goalkeeper. He is nearing a Manchester United exit. Atletico Madrid are interested in re-signing him. De Gea was at Atletico Madrid before he came to Manchester United, and De Gea is wanted by Juventus on a free transfer at the end of the season. De Gea could leave Man United on a free at the end of the season. His contract expires next year. Man United do have the option to extend his contract for a further year. Revert back to earlier on this year, he won the Players' Player of the Year award. He's won everything domestically at the football club. He's endured around 11 years or so at Manchester United, so reflecting on that, he's been a long-serving player. Been with us since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. Right back, I'm going to go with Diego Dalot. Diego Dalot is our first choice right back under Erik ten Hag. He was also our first choice right back under Ralf Rangnick. Dalot has played in every game so far this season, and he's been impressive in a lot of games, but I thought Dalot was poor in the 6-3 defeat to Man City. He offered very little going forward, and he received an early yellow card. Well, Dalot has to start this game because Wan-Bissaka has not travelled. Diego Dalot's contract at Man United expires next year. There is an option to extend for a further year. Man United got Dalot from Porto, paid around £19 million for him. We brought him in under the Jose Mourinho era. The two centre-backs, I'm going to go with Rafael Varane and Lisandro Martinez. Of course, they are our first choice centre-halves. Harry Maguire is unavailable. He missed the game against City. Wouldn't have started against City anyway, even if he had been fit, because he's no longer one of our first choice centre-halves following the arrival of Lisandro Martinez. Varane, he picked up an injury in the game against City. He eventually came off and he had to be replaced by Victor Lindelof. I think Varane is going to be okay for this game. If he isn't, then it will be Lindelof and Martinez. Lisandro Martinez, I thought he was one of our best players against Manchester City. I think he's done really well since he come to Manchester United. Man United got Lisandro Martinez from Ajax in a deal worth 57 million. Left back, I'm going to go with Luke Shaw. I think Luke Shaw will come in for Tyrell Malacia in this game. Luke Shaw is no longer our first choice left back. Tyrell Malacia is, and Tyrell Malacia played against City, and I thought Malacia was poor, and he did receive a yellow card. Luke Shaw did come on against Manchester City. Earlier on this season, Luke Shaw had a knock. Shaw could leave Man United next year. He's endured around 9 years or so at the club, so reflecting on that, he's been a long-serving player. Shaw's contract at Man United expires next year. Centre defensive midfielder, I'm going to go with Casemiro. He will start this one. A lot of United fans are saying that Casemiro should have started against Manchester City, but he didn't. He did come on though in the game. Casemiro, to his credit, seemed to make impacts when he's come off the bench since he became a Man United player. Didn't do so well though on his first start in the 1-0 defeat to Real Sociedad. I think Casemiro's in line to make his first Premier League start against Everton at the weekend. We got Casemiro from Real Madrid in a deal worth 70 million with add-ons included. Man United paid an initial 60 million fee and there was a further 10 million in add-ons. Centre midfielder, I'm going to go with Christian Eriksen. Christian Eriksen, of course, played in the 6-3 defeat to Manchester City. I thought Eriksen was very poor, but he did provide the assist for Antony's stunning goal. It was a shame that Eriksen was poor against City because I think Eriksen's been consistent in a lot of games since he come to Manchester United. Man United got Eriksen on a free transfer. When Eriksen officially signed, he signed a 3-year contract. The other midfielder I'm going to go with is Bruno Fernandez. Bruno Fernandez played against Manchester City. I thought he was poor. It was a shame really because Fernandez has done well in a lot of games this season. Fernandez seems to perform better when he doesn't play with Ronaldo. That doesn't really make much sense because Fernandez and Ronaldo do play together for Portugal. Bruno Fernandez has been a United player for over 2 years. Manchester United got him from Sporting Lisbon back in January 2020. There's another option at midfield, Van der Beek, but I don't think he's going to be playing in this game because Van der Beek has been out with a knock. I heard that Leicester are eyeing a 13 million move for Van der Beek. Last season, Van der Beek was out on loan with Everton because obviously he wasn't getting enough opportunities at Manchester United. Fred's another option at midfield as well, but I don't think he'll start this game. Fred didn't start against Man City. He did come on in the game, and to his credit, he did provide an assist for one of Anthony Martial's goals. I did say to you, Fred's no longer one of our first choice centre midfielders following the arrivals of Casemiro and Eriksen. McTominay is another option as well, but again, I don't think he'll start this game. So yeah, the midfield I think will be Casemiro, Eriksen and Bruno Fernandez. On the right wing, I'm going to go with Antony. Antony scored a stunning goal in the 6-3 defeat to Manchester City, but Antony did nothing up until that goal. It was Antony's second goal as a Manchester United player. Antony also scored on his debut in Manchester United's 3-1 win against Arsenal. Don't forget, Man United got Antony for €100 million. Antony is the second most expensive signing ever for Man United and is the fourth most expensive signing in Premier League history. Sancho is an option on the right hand side as well. Sancho can also play on the left, but I think Antony will start this one. Malanga's also an option as well on the wing, but again, I don't think he'll start. I think on the left wing, we will go with Marcus Rashford. Rashford, of course, played against Manchester City. I thought he was anonymous against City. Not so long ago, Marcus Rashford won the Premier League Player of the Month for September. You know, Rashford's enjoyed good games this season. Don't forget he scored twice in Man United's 3-1 win against Arsenal. And he scored in Man United's 2-1 home win against Liverpool at Old Trafford. Earlier on this year, he said Man United were ready to hand Marcus Rashford a new 5-year deal as a reward for his early season form. His contract at Man United expires next year. There's an option to extend for a further year. Rashford come back from injury not so long ago. And centre forward, I'm going to go with Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo played no part against Man City. He was left on the bench and Erik ten Hag explained why. Cristiano Ronaldo can leave Manchester United in January. Erik ten Hag will not stand in his way. But when Erik ten Hag first took over, he wanted Cristiano Ronaldo to stay. Ronaldo has not started a lot of games this season. He started our last Europa League game against FC Sheriff and he scored from the penalty. That was his first goal of this season and it was his 699th career goal. Ronaldo's contract at Man United expires next year. There's an option to extend for a further year. Man United re-signed Ronaldo from Juventus last year, so he has been this second spell at Man United. Not so long ago, Ronaldo got charged by the FA over that mobile phone incident at Everton. He got cautioned for the incident back in August, and after the incident, Ronaldo apologised on social media. Didn't he? Anthony Martial is also an option up front, but I don't think he'll start this game. Martial come back from injury not so long ago. He come on in the game against Manchester City and he did get 2 goals. One was from a header and the other one was from a penalty. So anyway, that's how I think Manchester United could line up against OMONIA Nicosia. Like I've said, we have got some players out, but not that many. We've got Williams out, but he doesn't really get in the team anyway. Dubravka has been out with a knock, but he has travelled. Dubravka is a backup to number 1 David De Gea. Van der Beek's obviously been out with a knock. Harry Maguire, of course, is still injured, like I mentioned earlier. This game against OMONIA Nicosia is Manchester United's 3rd game of the group stage of the Europa League. So far, Man United have played 2 games in the group. Obviously, won our last game against FC Sheriff 2-0 away, and we lost our opening game against Real Sociedad 1-0. Man United are coming into this game against OMONIA Nicosia on the back of a 6-3 defeat to Manchester City. As you all know, Erik ten Hag slammed belief of Man United players after City humiliation, and he also mentioned that it was an unacceptable performance. So I'm hoping Manchester United can bounce back in this game against OMONIA Nicosia. Man United's next league game is Everton. OMONIA Nicosia are from Cyprus. They won their last game 2-0. I do know around 3 players they've got. They've got like Gary Hooper, he's an attacking player. They've got a player called Brandon Barker, Andy Matthews, and that's the only real players I know for them. Don't know much about OMONIA Nicosia. Their manager is Neil Lennon. Neil Lennon got appointed in as the OMONIA Nicosia manager in March this year when he got officially appointed in, he signed a 2-year deal. So Neil Lennon's under contract with OMONIA Nicosia until 2024. Before, Neil Lennon endured 2 spells with Celtic, and before he's managed Hibernian and Bolton Wanderers. Erik ten Hag, I haven't prejudged him once since he became Manchester United manager. I did make an admission after the 6-3 defeat to Man City, didn't I? I said, Erik ten Hag got some decisions right, he got some decisions wrong. But to be honest with you, these games this season where I've liked the way that Erik ten Hag's approached them, like I've said so many times before, a lot of games this season, ten Hag's not started Ronaldo and he's dropped Harry Maguire a lot, and Man United have looked a far superior team without them two. Prior to the City defeat, we was in very good form. We'd won 5 of his last 6 in all competitions. But this is Erik ten Hag's first full season as Man United manager. He needs time. His expectations for this season is probably to get Man United a top 4 finish. Maybe win a trophy as well. That would be a good season if that was to materialise. Man United have not won a domestic trophy for 5 years or so now. Erik ten Hag knew when he got appointed in as Man United manager that he had big expectations to exceed. Ten Hag, he's made 6 signings as Manchester United manager so far. He brought Terrell Malacia in, Martinez, Christian Eriksen, Casemiro, Anthony and Martin Dubravka. We spent over 200 million this year. Let me put into the equation that Ten Hag's got rid of players as well. But despite that, he's still inheriting deadwood. Not so long ago, Ten Hag got named the Premier League Manager of the Month. Ten Hag replaced Rangnick earlier on this year. He's under contract with Man United till 2025. There's an option of an additional year. He's Man United's 5th permanent manager since Ferguson. Don't forget, Mitchell van der Gag and Steve McLaren are working alongside Ten Hag. Well, Ten Hag was the one that recommended them in. We've got Benny McCarthy at the club, John Murtafy's our Director of Football, Richard Arnold's our CEO. Obviously the Glazers there still at Manchester United. Like I've said, we've got to get the Glazers out of the club because they've been a massive problem for a long time. Not so long ago, Man United confirmed that they'd paid out 33.6 million in dividends, mostly to the Glazer family, in the financial year up to June the 30th, 2022. So the Glazers are just borrowing money. The Glazers have owned Man United since 2005, so they've owned the club now for around 17 years. Obviously, Michael Knighton's been interested in buying the club, so Jim Ratcliffe's been interested in buying Man United for quite some time. At one point said he was interested in a £4 billion offer to take Man United from the Glazers. And earlier on this year, Elon Musk joked about buying the club. So there you go. And Alex Ferguson, of course, earlier on this year came back to Manchester United in an advisory role. So anyway guys, that's everything to update you with. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel if you do. Consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.